Greetings Multiverse, I'm here today to give my comments and opinions on the Justice League Ultimate Fan Edition, which I've watched last night and I am a big fan of. I'm shocked, frankly, how good it is considering the limited resources available. There have only been a couple of deleted scenes. There have been a few leaked ones, but they've all had watermarks and a low quality or just don't have all the visual effects yet. So I'm hugely impressed by what these guys have managed to achieve with just a few extra scenes and a careful use of the assets available to them. Do not expect this to be the Snyder Cut in any way. Mostly, it is the Justice League movie. There's not any going around that. It feels a little bit better though. Just a little bit. It just works a little bit more. First of all, deleted and alternate scenes. It completely rescores the movie, so it completely exercises Danny Elfman's music. It's edited out some of the more questionable scenes, which we'll go through in a moment. And in general, it hews closer to Zack Snyder's vision for the movie, or as far as we can tell what his vision was. Starting off with the deleted scenes, the first, most obviously, is Superman and the Black Suit cameo appearance, where Superman walks through the Fortress of Solitude, or whatever his equivalent is, where he sees firstly the Kryptonian battle armor, then the black suit that he wore very briefly in Man of Steel, before finally deciding on who he's going to be, which is classic Superman. Before then, of course, going to meet Alfred. These aren't really desperately necessary scenes, but they're cute scenes and they work, really, and we're not completely sure why they're exercised in the movie, well, the final version anyway, but they're here right now in the Ultimate Cut and they work fine to me. They're basically before and after that cute scene where Aquaman sits on Wonder Woman's lasso of truth and blurges all that nonsense. Bookends that and it works quite well. Alternate scenes are possibly the most interesting part. There aren't many of them because obviously that require brand new things happening. The biggest two, number one, the beginning. I'm not sure where this bit of animation came from, but it's only a small thing and it's clearly meant to be the scene in the trailers where everyone thought that Supergirl was going to appear in Justice League. I wonder what set them off. Where Batman sees the reflection of Superman's cape in the window or some sort of holograph or something like that. This is the very beginning of the movie where in Final Cut there is that sort of cute camera phone scene of Superman being interviewed for a podcast by the kids, which I like, but unfortunately that is sort of the poster child of the Moustache Gate incident, where that set warning bells immediately for the rest of the movie and put a lot of people off because the effects were so bad. I like the actual scene, I just don't like the way it's done, and so consequently the beginning completely excises it and also adds a brand new beginning, which is almost sort of like a recap with voiceovers from the previous movie, and it kind of works. I think there was going to be like more actual new stuff at the beginning, but it works quite well. Not bad, not bad. This is probably one of the lesser bits, but it's a good start. But the biggest new inclusion is near the end when Cyborg has his vision in the mother boxes. Now, watching this now in the Ultimate Fan Edition, I did not notice that both Cyborg and Steppenwolf comment on his vision. It makes absolutely no sense in the final cut, because now Steppenwolf says, "Now you see," or something like that. And you didn't see him see anything in the movie. But in the Ultimate Fan Edition, you get the full vision where he sees basically Nightmare Batman's vision of sort of apocalypse on Earth, which they're helping to prevent. But most interesting is the appearance of DARKSEID. This was really cool. This really raised my eyebrows here, and I wish this had been in the final movie. This is the scene I think desperately should have been in the movie, and I know why it's not, because now there is no Justice League Part 2, there is nothing to build up to with DARKSEID, and so they would be teasing something which they obviously were not sure was going to happen. And that's really kind of annoying because this is such a cool moment. When DARKSEID gets briefly mentioned, I geeked out like mad, and if he had actually shown up, even in shadowy form a bit like this, I would have totally lost my shit, to put it mildly. This, of course, is not the Darkseid who was going to appear. This is very cleverly shadowy version of the Injustice 2 pre-order trailer where Darkseid appeared. That was a really, really cool moment. And suddenly that scene and the lines spoken by Cyborg and Steppenwolf make a lot more sense. Moving on to the score, the soundtrack by Danny Elfman has been completely removed. Now, I am a huge fan of Danny Elfman. I would put him as one or two favourite composers of all time. He's a really good composer when he puts his mind to it. And I was really excited when he got announced for Justice League. I was kind of hoping for that all my life. Danny Elfman doing a Justice League soundtrack. I knew it was going to be over the top of Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL, but still, it was Danny Elfman, my favourite composer who's done so many. And when they said they were going to bring back Superman themes from John Williams, Danny Elfman's own Batman theme and Wonder Woman's theme, I geeked out like mad. That was exactly what I wanted. Except it wasn't. It was clearly a rushed decision and a rushed soundtrack, and most of it is kind of generic. It's not a memorable soundtrack, and that's really annoying to me. And this version completely removes that. It keeps the songs that they use, which were clearly meant to be there, like Icky Thump and Nobody Knows, but otherwise, score gone. And it's all back to either music from Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, or Wonder Woman, all of which are great. Especially in the Wonder Woman action scenes, which actually use Wonder Woman's theme tune. Now, it sort of made an appearance in the Justice League movie, but it was quite understated, and it certainly wasn't in the action moments. This one uses the proper theme tune, and it works really well. Of course it does, because it's great. Most importantly, the Man of Steel soundtrack, Man's theme, Hans Zimmer, all works really well in the movie, and consequently, it makes a lot of the scenes more Superman focused by being more about Superman, being more hopeful, and it works really well for the most part. 90% of the new score in this movie works really well, and a lot of them make the scenes more action-packed, and in some cases more somber, and tone down the silly humour in a little bit, and it's amazing what a soundtrack can make for a movie. Even though the movie is 99% the same as the one released in theatres, just by virtue of having a different soundtrack, it feels like a different movie. That's an incredible thing. It really is. It's worth watching just for that transformation. In terms of scenes taken out, it's edited out some of the more questionable scenes, most notably Superman's moustache scene at the beginning and a couple of others. That silly scene of the woman saying that her janitor husband's been kidnapped and are they going to probe him, and all the swearing there, which is just a silly scene. And a fair few of the scenes with that random family, which we're supposed to care about, but in essence they just take moments away from Superman and the rest of the Justice League. They've kept 2 scenes of the Russian family and they've cut down both of them, and it works much better. We don't care. We just care that the Justice League saved them. You can see what Steppenwolf's doing that they're introduced, and you don't get any of their dialogue. You just see what they're seeing, and then they get saved at the end. That's all's needed. You didn't need all those separate scenes in the middle, so all them are gone. What interests me the most is the use of Wonder Woman and what has been cut out with her. Now, normally these type of fan edits get a bad rap. Most notably recently, the stupid Star Wars The Last Jedi cut, cutting out all the women. The chauvinist cut, as it's called. Which was just dumb, because that just ruins the film completely. The Ultimate Fan Edition is actually less sexist than the main Justice League movie. Now, I didn't really have a problem with any of the scenes in the movie in terms of sexism and representing women. There are a couple of uncomfortable moments with Wonder Woman in the theatrical version. Especially here in the bank scene, and she does slow motion kick on one of the guards, which gets a full upskirt shot. I didn't really have a problem with that, but I can understand why it makes some people uncomfortable, especially coming so soon after that wondrous piece of representation that was the Wonder Woman movie. That scene's gone. Well, at least that moment's gone. It just carries on and she's kicking ass different ways, and it works just as well. The other point is when Barry Allen saves Wonder Woman and lands on her chest and quickly gets off her at super speed. That awkward moment has been cut out entirely. He just saves her and then they move on, and then Wonder Woman's just fighting Steppenwolf again. This type of thing is not needed. You can just have Wonder Woman kicking ass. You don't have to humiliate her or show her ass. And general, point 4, who's closer to the Snyder vision. We don't completely know what the Zack Snyder cut would have been, but this feels a lot more focused and a lot more like we hope Zack Snyder would have done. Obviously it's not completely that. I mean, there are just plenty of scenes here which you had to use. I mean, we know for a fact that Joss Whedon directed the Batman scene at the beginning, for example, and that's still in there in its entirety. It's a little bit more dramatic though, with the new music behind it. And they're just moments where they're making snappy quips, and because of the somber soundtrack, it's a little bit less ridiculous. And it just works much better. There's just plenty of things in here which just work better. That's the annoying thing. This is basically the same movie we saw in theatres, and yet it works better. How? We've had 2 deleted scenes which don't really add anything to the plot put back in, a few cuts here and there, a bit of an extra soundtrack, and yet somehow it feels better than the final version, even though it's almost entirely the same thing. That's the magic of a good fan cut, and this is a great fan cut. I can't really put a link to it, unfortunately, because I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers are going to be on the warpath. But if you know where to look, find it and get it. If I can put it up, I will. I was going to buy the Blu-ray straight away, but in fact I'm going to wait for the Zack Snyder cut to be announced and I'm going to get a pack with both of the cuts in it, but I'm still going to keep this cut because I like it. Even if there is a Zack Snyder cut, I'm sure it'll be completely different from this one. It just feels like a comfortable middle distance between full Snyder cut and the theatrical version. It's a nice compromise, and it just is a little bit better. It had the full might of Warner Brothers behind it with those extra scenes that should have been in it. This could have been a much, much better movie. Oh, and Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer on composing duties. That would have been good too. What do you guys think? Have you seen the Ultimate Fan Cut? If you haven't, see it now and then get back to me. Leave a comment below. Will you be seeing it? Leave a comment below. I'll be sure to respond. And if you have any questions for me about the fan cut, if you can't find it, again, comment below. I'll respond. Thanks for watching, guys. And of course, subscribe to DC Comics Gamer for everything on World of DC. Thanks for watching. Multiverse, out.